What are you doing in my swamp?
Hello everybody, this is Soger Boy, and I'm going to be doing my ranking for my top 10 favorite movies of 2014. So, this is part of a series I'm doing where I rank my 10 favorite movies of each year since I was born. And this week is the year 2014. So, I'm going to go ahead and get going. Coming in at number 10 is The Interview. This is a pretty good buddy comedy about two reporters who get sent to assassinate Kim Jong-un, and one of them ends up becoming friends with him, and they get into some quirky situations throughout the movie, and it's just a really funny movie and everything. As someone who's not into politics and everything, I still enjoyed this movie. I don't really care too much about politics. I don't really know anything about the real Kim Jong-un, except I've heard that he's not a very good person. I don't know. I just really love this movie. I think this was one of the last great comedy movies. This is the movie where I feel like comedy started losing its balls after this movie, because this movie did have a lot of balls. It's really entertaining and really funny and everything. Seth Rogen and James Franco are always fun to watch together, and they were really good in this movie. So The Interview is number 10, and number 9 is The Fault in Our Stars. This is a really good coming-of-age teen romance movie about these two cancer patients who are meet, and their relationship grows, and they end up becoming romantically involved. It's a really good movie. It's kind of heartbreaking and sad to watch, though. It's got some really sad, heartbreaking moments and everything, but it's still a really good movie. And everything, the chemistry between Shailene Woodley and Ansel Elgort is really good. And this is a movie I haven't actually talked about on my channel, so I might have to review this one here pretty soon. But The Fault in Our Stars is number 9, and number 8 is A Million Ways to Die in the West. This is a really good Western comedy about a man who is kind of down on his luck, never has luck with the ladies and stuff, and this gunslinger comes to town, and he has to show off against him and everything, and try to earn people's respect and everything. It's a pretty fun movie. Seth MacFarlane is just absolutely hilarious in this movie. His writing and directing is great too. And this is one I've always really enjoyed and feel like is a pretty underrated movie and everything. So A Million Ways to Die in the West is number 8. And number 7 is Captain America: The Winter Soldier. Once again, I'm not a political person, but I do like the political thriller vibe this movie gives and everything. I like that they tried to do something different with the Captain America name and turned it into like a political thriller, and I think it works really good with this movie. I think this is one of the best one of the better MCU movies. I don't know if I'd say it's one that I would call one of the best for me personally, but it's one of the better MCU movies, especially from this time period during the early phases and everything. This one was really good and entertaining. It's got a really good story. The chemistry between Chris Evans and Scarlett Johansson is great and everything, and I love the relationship that they build between the two characters. Samuel Jackson is once again great in this movie, and I love the big reveal with Bucky and everything, and it's just a really good movie. So Captain America: The Winter Soldier is number 7, and number 6 is Get On Up. I really enjoyed this movie quite a bit. It's a really good biopic about James Brown and his music career, and as somebody who is a huge fan of James Brown, I've always really enjoyed this movie, and I think Chadwick Boseman, who was one of the best actors of his time and everything, it's really sad that he died so young and everything, and so early into his career, because he was amazing, and I think he was absolutely great as James Brown. I think it's one of his best performances and everything. So Get On Up is number 6, and number 5 is The Angriest Man in Brooklyn. I absolutely love this movie. It's a really good dark comedy with a really good cast. You got Robin Williams in one of his final roles. In fact, I think this was the final role that he did before he passed away, that came out while he was still alive and everything. And he's great in here. He plays kind of against his character type and everything. He plays this bitter, grumpy old man and everything. And he's both hilarious and also has some really sad scenes and stuff. But he gives a really great performance. I think this was one of his last really great performances and everything. It's a lot of fun. Mila Kunis is great in here too. And then you got Peter Dinklage and James Earl Jones rounding out the supporting cast. I wish James Earl Jones was in this movie more. He's only in a few scenes, but they're all really good in here. And this is a really good comedy movie. I really enjoyed this one quite a bit. So The Angriest Man in Brooklyn is number 5. And number 4 is Dumb and Dumber 2. I really enjoyed this movie quite a bit. I think that it's a very underrated sequel to Dumb and Dumber. I don't think that this movie was near as bad as anybody says it is. It's not quite as good as the first one for sure, but it's still a really solid movie and everything. Jim Carrey and Jeff Daniels are once again just absolutely hilarious in this movie. Their chemistry is still just as good as it was in the first movie 20 years before it and everything. Their chemistry works really good. Some of the humor is a little bit more mean-spirited, so there are some jokes that don't land as well, but for the most part, it's a really funny movie, and it's got a lot of really funny moments and stuff. Like I said, not quite as good as the first one, but it's still a solid sequel and everything. So Dumb and Dumber 2 is number 4. And number 3 is It Follows. This is a pretty good horror movie about a woman who has sex and everything, and the person that had sex with her has this entity following him around trying to kill him because of having sex and everything, and he passed it on to her, so now she's just trying to evade this entity that keeps jumping from person to person and trying to go after her and everything, and every time she thinks she's gotten away, it shows up and everything. It's a really good, intense horror movie. The premise doesn't sound that appealing and stuff, I know, but if you give it a chance, you'll really enjoy it. This was one of those movies that I didn't want to see when it first came out, but I really regretted waiting as long as I did. It was like 4 or 5 years at the time when I finally did see it and everything, and I really enjoyed this movie. I actually need to rewatch it and review it sometime, but It Follows is number 3, and number 2 is Guardians of the Galaxy. This one is barely number 2, and everything. My number 1 spot is just barely number 1 because I absolutely love this movie. This is one of the best MCU movies. It's one of my favorite superhero movies in general, and it's just a really, really great time. The story is great. The cast are excellent. The characters are so lovable. Like, every single character is lovable in this movie. Especially Groot. You just can't help but love him and everything. His sacrifice at the ending is still one of the saddest MCU moments and everything. Yes, we got baby Groot and stuff, but it's not the same Groot that was in this movie, so it still has that emotional impact. And it's just a really, really good time. So Guardians of the Galaxy is number 2. And my number 1 favorite movie of 2014 is John Wick. I absolutely love this movie. It is a blast from start to finish and everything. It does have a little bit slower of an opening than the other movies in the franchise, because the others, they just kind of get right into it, into the action and the fun and everything. This movie sets up a little bit, lets us get to know John just enough and everything, and we see his dog die and him go crazy and everything, and you can't help but root for him and everything. You want to see him avenge this poor little puppy that was killed. And it's just a really, really fun action movie that started off a really fun franchise. One of my favorite action franchises around nowadays and everything. So John Wick is easily my favorite movie of 2014. I'll have to review these movies. I don't think I've actually reviewed them yet, so maybe around the time Ballerina comes out, I can get on to doing that. But yeah, this movie is a great one, and it's easily my favorite movie of 2014. So anyway, let me know in the comments what your favorite movies of 2014 are, And I hope you enjoyed this video, and have a good day, everybody.
Yeah.